Working as a waiter can often be pretty challenging. You have to work with members of the public who are happy to be rude to their servers and then leave without giving a sufficient tip. One waiter was working a regular shift, his second of the day, as he was trying to earn as much money for his young family as possible. He was super busy that evening and tried to cover as much ground as possible, prompting one customer to leave a shocking note, changing his life in the process. This brings us to today's unique story, which features customer writes strange note on check. Then waiter is left in complete shock. But before we start, make sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and activate the notification bell to receive more fascinating videos. David Fabula was a hardworking father, living in Roseville, California. The 31-year-old waiter at the House of Oliver Wine Bar had another job too, trying to help pay the bills for his family as best as possible. Fabula already had 3 kids to look after, and he was expecting another when he was working his busy shift that night. Any spare cash he could get his hands on he welcomed, but for Fabula that means working extra shifts anytime he was offered them. Normally he works as a bartender, showing off his drink mixing skills behind the bar at the popular hangout. He was used to working with large crowds, but normally from behind the bar, and this fateful Friday he was asked to work a shift as a server. Even though he was doing his best, there were just too many people to serve and keep happy at the same time. There were so many customers in the patio area that Fabula was unable to spend as much time with each one as he would have liked. One of those customers was Stephen Bear, and he would change David's life. To Fabula it looked as though Bear was just another customer, but the young man was going to bring some drama to David's life. Bear was outside enjoying a drink and meal with some friends, so Fabula didn't feel like he needed to give the man much attention. He seemed happy enough. Fabula didn't exactly love his job as a server, but he knew it was something he needed to do to support his family. Fabula was relying on his tips to help put a roof over his and his family's heads. Fabula was beginning to question his abilities. He wasn't even sure if he was serving the right people or bringing them the correct orders. Although he was trying to hide it, Fabula was sure the customers could tell how stressed he was becoming. During this tough period, Bear was watching David intently. The end of the night was drawing closer, and the shift to end all shifts was almost over. Bear called Fabula over to settle the bill that he and his table had racked up, and the server immediately printed the check. Fabula took the check back to the table and then headed before he could pay, with several other tables still needing to be looked after. Although he made a mental note to go back and get Bear's money, when he returned to the table his customer was gone. It wasn't the first time Fabula had experienced a customer leaving their money on the table and running off before saying goodbye to their server. Most people wait around to hand their money over to their server or have to hang around until the waiting staff brings a card machine. Bear had not waited for any of that and simply left his money on the table and disappeared from the restaurant. When Fabula looked at Bear's bill he realized something wasn't right, but what could he do now? The table that Fabula had been serving had run up a huge bill, and between Bear and his friends, they had racked up $190 worth of food. With such a large bill the young man decided to pay for it all by check. It wasn't until Fabula had looked at the check that he noticed something strange, and the waiter became very confused. The check that had been written was for a much larger amount than the total, so David just assumed they had made a mistake. On the bill, Bear had written that even though he and his friends were young, they were still worth serving. Fabula just kept staring at the note. He couldn't believe someone had been so generous. He had been given a life-changing amount of money, enough to make sure he could work a little less hard for a while. Fabula tracked Bear down before he had left the restaurant to ask him about the tip and to make sure it wasn't a mistake. The event had a big impact on David, so he took to social media to thank Stefan for his generosity. It was online that Fabula was able to learn more about Bear, and he discovered the man had worked as an unpaid intern while at college. Not only had Bear done unpaid work as an intern, but he worked as a server too, so he could understand how much the money would help Fabula. Bear had his fair share of incredibly bust shifts without a helping hand, so when he was watching David try to cover the busy patio he felt his server's pain. He had no idea that his waiter needed the money. The only thing Bear knew was that David was super busy and he wanted his efforts to be recognized. That night Bear had actually been celebrating something. After 4 years of hard work Bear had just finished his senior year at college and wanted the night to be a memorable one. Not only had Bear been working hard in class, but he had been making money on the side too, and now was the time to spend it. so he wanted to use it to help make someone else's life better, believing David deserved it more.